Bulletproof coffee. Bulletproof bull? Most definitely, and I'll tell you why. I've climbed mountains with Sherpa and porters in several different countries, and I can understand why in certain mountainous cultures they will add yak or other butters to their tea. It's bloody cold in the mountains, and altitude is a rough life. There is a workload and stress on the body that is unlike at non-altitude, generally speaking. Why am I telling you this? Well, apparently Dave Asprey founded Bulletproof Coffee after visiting Tibet and seeing the people there add yak butter to their morning tea or coffee. It's respectable that Dave Asprey disrupted the coffee industry by creating a product, really a system, that allows people to drink coffee without crashing. What Asprey would say is that Bulletproof aims to disrupt big food, and as I've heard him say in an interview with Jay Abraham, I'm tired of companies making cheap crap that make people sick. That's cool and admirable. But in a serious way, isn't he peddling his own form of propaganda? Suddenly, even non-coffee drinkers assume they should throw some butter, even if it is grass-fed, into their coffee and call it a morning. There may very well be research that shows a higher quality and no-mold coffee, when combined with a high-quality butter, will improve your overall function and help keep you full. But what about research that shows the function of Bulletproof coffee in the context of a comprehensive, optimal diet, period? Would there really be any difference in overall function? Or what if you were able to combine the coffee alone with a truly better diet? And what about the effects of just any coffee and not Bulletproof coffee? Since I'm pretty sure the rest of the coffee industry would say that processes have evolved and changed enough to produce non-moldy coffee. That research doesn't exist. Ultimately, here's the rub. Many of us disagree on what an optimal diet is. Leaving that aside for the moment, you're not a Sherpa. Taking your coffee, Bulletproof or otherwise, along on your cushy little life doesn't exactly qualify as difficult. And if your brain is screaming in revolt, you don't know me, you don't know how difficult my life is, true, but I would invite you to spend some quality time with mountainous cultures. We aren't Sherpa requiring an extra shot of fat, and while I have nothing against fat, what's wrong with improving the overall quality of our diets before having to resort to Bulletproof coffee? Not cool enough? And that's exactly why Bulletproof coffee gained such popularity. Bulletproof coffee is cool, and what's not to like about a guy like Dave Asprey? He's a tech whiz who obviously has some impressive skills in marketing. Maybe he's cool. Maybe he's a douchebag. If Bulletproof was created by a career guy at Nestle, would it have become so popular? And maybe a side note here is to shame the real coffee people who, after decades of coffee development, didn't think to address a pain point shared by millions. That people crashed after they drank coffee. I don't know. It's easy to get sucked into lingo like biohack your health. I just listened to a podcast with yet another wildly unimpressive expert, supposedly, on ketosis. That guy was definitely a douchebag. I had a millennial once say to me, as he was asking me if I had read the research on Bulletproof coffee, that he was not most people, presumably because he views himself as among the smart and sophisticated crowd who knows better than the rest of us idiots. I have seriously lost count of the number of millennials and Gen Zs who think of themselves as extra special and wise. Anyone else? Give me a call in 10 or 15 years after you've sucked back a few more 100 pounds of butter in your coffee. I admit I don't drink coffee much, and when I do, I don't crash. I also have a diet that gives me sustained energy on most days, including through my significant aerobic activities. I've actually climbed a few mountains, perhaps while Dave Asprey was working on his marketing plan. As special as we all may be, maybe some of us just aren't so cool. And maybe I'm very uncool for telling you Bulletproof coffee is Bulletproof bull. Bulletproof coffee isn't any more of a biohack than any other fad and should not be used as a substitute for proper eating. Granted, Asprey doesn't say that, but that's what it's become. You should not assume that just because you've had trouble losing weight or trouble with energy that it's because you've been drinking moldy coffee without enough MCTs in it. Maybe you simply haven't found an optimal diet that is going to work well for you and your long-term health. Figuring out a better eating plan that is going to work well for you is likely to have nothing to do with high-fat, low-carb, and the rigidity that Asprey espouses. It certainly has nothing to do with buying expensive coffee and MCTs and topping it off with grass-fed butter. Look, I love grass-fed butter and it's almost always in my fridge. And what about all the non-coffee drinkers out there? You don't need to start drinking coffee, let alone bulletproof coffee, and let alone throwing some butter, grass-fed or not, in your fucking coffee. My ideas may be much less cool to you, especially if you're a millennial or younger. I don't care. This is the only thing I want you to remember. Be smart, be thoughtful, and don't buy into the hype, even if it's hype by someone who claims to fight against hype. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below. Also, feel free to connect with me on other social media so that I can continue to deliver to you information that is going to move your life and your health forward.